1,460 days. That is how long it's been since I initially began the process of wrapping this car. I'm not going to show you the finished product just yet, but trust me when I say that this car looks like it came straight out of a video game, and that really is the best way to possibly put it, because that's pretty much exactly where it came from. We'll get into why that is in just a second, but first, let's go back a couple of weeks so I can take you through the process of finally finishing this thing. We have a lot to do today. This color, good. This color, bad. Need to redo the bumper, fenders, doors, rocker panels, stripes, and the A-pillar. I don't know if we can get it all done today, but that's the plan. So let's see if we can do it. But before we do any of that, this has to come off. These need to come off, and these need to come off. So let's start with the bumper. Now, I say this car came out of a video game because about 4 years ago, I actually made this car in Forza Horizon 5. One of my favorite things to do in those games is to just jump into the decal editor and start messing around. The designs I make frequently take inspiration from other cars I've seen on YouTube, Instagram, or wherever else on the internet. And one day I was window shopping on Liberty Walk's website, and I came across their wide body kit for the 350Z. And while I wasn't a huge fan of the kit itself, I absolutely fell in love with the livery they had on it, and I knew right away that I had to recreate it in Forza. So that's what I did, and it came out great. It was hands down one of my favorite cars to drive around in that game, but at the time, that was kind of the end of it. However, as the months passed and it came time for me to rewrap my real car, as I did every year or so, I began to realize that I might actually be able to make that car from Forza a reality. Now that we got all of our parts off, let's get to unwrapping them. Now, usually this part really sucks. Anybody that has removed a wrap before can tell you that. But this hasn't been on there for even a year yet, so it should come off pretty easily. Now, if you've ever thought about wrapping your car, you know the first step is to waste a few hours looking at all the different colors, of which there are, no joke, thousands of. The color I was searching for was the closest thing I could find to Rosa Acanthus, and if you're not familiar, Rosa Acanthus is a paint color from Lamborghini, and the same color that Stradman has on his Liberty Walk Aventador. Now, at the time, I did find a wrap that, based on the pictures, seemed to match Rosa Acanthus really well, but unfortunately the color had been discontinued and I couldn't really find any old stock anywhere. So I went with what seemed to be the next best option at the time. And I say I guess because the color was actually extremely far off from Rosa Acanthus. It was much more of a fuchsia, and a flat fuchsia at that. The color had precisely zero metallic flake in it, which is pretty much the exact opposite of what Rosa Acanthus is.
It should come off pretty easily.
Well, of course, it wasn't going to be that easy. Despite using the heat gun and trying to carefully and slowly peel the vinyl up, there is still a bunch of adhesive left behind. You can't really see it on the camera, but I can feel it. It's definitely there. So, good old isopropyl alcohol and some garbage rags. This should be a great time. Let's get to it. I truly cannot remember why I chose this color, but at this point, I already had the wrap, and while it wasn't exactly what I wanted, it was still pretty cool, and I did just spend $600 on it, so I wasn't just gonna throw it away. Look at that shit. Bleh. So, in the late summer, early fall of 2022, the wrapping began. I would stay after hours at my job to work on it, and after just a few days, it was coming along pretty nicely. I had gotten the fenders, doors, mirrors, and the hood all done, but that is when the progress came to a halt. Not because I lost interest or because I was lazy, but because it was around this time that I decided I was going to rip out the motor and rebuild it. One down, 4 to go. Maybe this will come out a little bit cleaner. So why did I decide to rebuild my motor? Well, a few months prior to starting this wrap job, I was doing an oil change on this car, and let's just say the oil was a little bit more glittery than it should be. And for anybody who's unfamiliar with why that's a bad thing, basically the engine started to self-destruct. It was now only a matter of time until my working engine became not that. And this was entirely my fault because at the time I was extremely neglectful of this car and wouldn't even take the time to check the oil level. An outstanding move considering these cars are well known to burn oil excessively, something I was very aware of at the time and still chose to ignore. There was a point where my engine had less than a quarter of the oil it was supposed to have in it, and I truly cannot believe the thing was even running. It literally sounded like a diesel truck. So take this as a sign to be smarter than me, and please check your oil. All right, I unwrapped the other rocker panel off camera. Came off pretty good, a little bit less glue than the first one. Still kind of a pain though. So all of those pieces are done except for the bumper. We'll do that last. So now let's get to taking off the fender and the door. After learning my engine had become a ticking time bomb, I knew I had to do something about it. My options were to either swap it for something else or rebuild it. All right. Now, I had absolutely no business doing either of those things, considering the most mechanical work I'd done to any car prior to this was maybe changing some brake calipers, but I wasn't going to let that stop me. Could have sworn there were more than 2 screws on this one, but maybe I'm wrong. That would be cool if I was. Came out. Jesus Christ. Well, indeed, there were holes for one more screw. Don't know where it went. Don't really care. So I had to do something with my engine, but the question was, what? I tossed around the idea of LS swapping it for a while, but I eventually canned that idea, realizing that I should probably make this process as easy as possible, considering I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, and it would be easier to get everything working properly if the engine that I was using was designed to be there. So the decision had been made. I was going to rebuild my engine. Finally. All right, I actually did the other side here off camera, so now all we have left is the bumper. I'm praying that there's not as much glue left behind on the bumper as there were on the rocker panels. And I'm not even gonna put these screws on all the way, just enough to hold it on there. It took me just 3 days to take out and completely disassemble the motor, and I took dozens of videos throughout the process, knowing that it might be a while before I'd get to putting it all back together. And a while it was, because there my engine sat disassembled in the corner of my workplace for a solid 8 or 9 months before I finally sent it off to a machine shop to get it ready for the rebuild. Shout out to my boss, by the way, for letting me use the shop space for this project. Now, when I dropped off my engine at this machine shop, I told them I was in no rush and to take their time, which I meant, and take their time they did. They finished machining it in about 3 to 4 months, but I didn't even pick it up for another 5 or so months after that. All right, it's been a couple hours. I've done a little bit of work off camera. I prepped the fender here. I also finished prepping the rocker panels. So those are the things that I'm gonna be wrapping first. I already have the film cut and ready to go for the fender. So I'm going to go grab that and we are going to get started on this. Now that I finally had my engine, I was working on it every weekend that I could. However, I'd frequently be put on hold as I waited for new parts to get delivered, and I knew this was going to be a problem ahead of time, but there was really no way for me to plan ahead, as I wouldn't know which parts I would need until I actually needed them. Slowly and surely though, it all came together. Between my lack of parts and lack of experience, the whole rebuild process ended up taking another 9 months. In its entirety, this rebuild took me about 2.5 years, and to put that into perspective, there are people that get something like this done in literally a weekend, but then again, most people that attempt something like this never actually finish it. So I'm happy enough with my 2.5 years. With the engine finally sorted, it was time to get back to wrapping. However, we had a little bit of an issue. Let's get you down here for a better angle. The issue was, since I had begun this wrap nearly 3 years ago at this point, I was stuck with whatever film I had left, as trying to order more at this point would almost certainly result in receiving a roll that was either a shade darker or a shade lighter. For those that don't know, all vinyl is made in batches, and batches can vary in color, not by a lot, but it can be noticeable if two different batches are used on the same car. Now, during the rebuild process, I decided to remove my freshly wrapped hood from the car to make the engine work easier, but unfortunately during those 2.5 years, the engine was moved several times and it got a bit scratched up in the process. That's a damn good cut, brother, damn good cut. Okay, pink door. Yeah, buddy. Let's throw the mirror back on too. With the hood all scratched up now, I wanted to redo it. And for some reason, against my better judgment, I tried to wrap the hood before putting it back on. Now, wrapping the hood off the car might sound like a good idea, but it is probably one of the worst things I possibly could have done. This is because when you're installing vinyl, you need to be able to pull on the film a lot to stretch it properly. And without anything for the hood to hold onto, you end up just pulling the hood all over the place instead of stretching the vinyl. We got our passenger side pillar done, but before I put it in, we're going to redo this stripe here because it's a lot easier to do without this in the way. So we're going to use masking tape here to line up our new piece to make sure that it goes in the same spot. Because I decided to wrap the hood off the car, it went horribly, and I ended up with all kinds of crap under the film, which as the perfectionist I am, I found completely unacceptable. So I ripped the film off, not realizing until after throwing it away that I might not have enough to redo it. I went about carefully wrapping the rest of the car, hoping that if I didn't make any more mistakes, that I might have enough at the end to give the hood another go, but of course, I wouldn't be saying all of this if I did. And now with that done, we can throw the A-pillar back on. The car was so close to being finished, but my hood was still silver, and with no film left, I didn't have many options. I could leave it silver, but of course that would just look like shit. I could try to buy more film, but we already discussed why that wasn't really an option either. And so I went with what was really the only option available to me, and that was wrapping the hood in gloss black. Okay, one step closer. Now, you never saw what this car looked like with the black hood, because I actually wrapped it a few days prior to filming this whole thing. So here are a few pictures of what it looked like back then. Don't get me wrong, I was still pretty happy with it. It did look cool, but the car always felt a little incomplete. Almost came up short there. We're good. Should make it. As much as I didn't love the black hood, I knew I would eventually be redoing the entire wrap anyway, so I knew it was only temporary. And so that is how the car has looked for the past 9 months or so. Honestly though, I kind of expected this wrap to be on there for quite a bit longer than that. But when my friend said he was buying some new wrap for his own car, I figured I'd hop on the bandwagon and finally do this wrap the way I've wanted to from the beginning, which brings us to this whole video. Now, no wrap job ever goes particularly smoothly, and this one was no different. I knew I would only need 25 feet of pink to do everything properly, but I also knew better at this point than to leave no room for error, so I got 30 feet. And it's a damn good thing I did, because, once again, the hood did not go great the first time. I initially wrapped the hood at the end of a very, very hot day, which is something that, again, I knew was not a good idea, but I went ahead and did it anyway. I really don't know why, even now, I continuously try and do things that I know from personal experience will likely not go well. I think I just like testing myself, but I don't know why I get upset when things turn out the exact way I figured they would. I think that is the literal definition of insanity, doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So I guess I'm insane, which is cool, I guess. But what's less cool is my inability to accurately judge just how long these jobs will take. It is amazing to me that even after doing this for 7 or 8 years now, that I can still be so off with my timelines. I thought I was gonna have this done yesterday. Definitely thought I was gonna have it done today. I don't think that's happening. It's 9:30, 10 o'clock right now. The only parts we have left are the other A-pillar and the bumper. And then obviously the stripes. I think what the goal for tonight is gonna be, so that I'm not here until 4 a.m., is to get this back on the car, get the A-pillar wrapped and back on the car, get the stripes done, and then the bumper is going to have to be a project for tomorrow or some other day when I have time. I can at least drive the car and I'll be happy with it without the bumper. I think the car looks pretty good without the bumper. Everything else though, I want to make sure is done before we leave today. So that's the new goal. So let's get this thing on the car. Where did I put it this time? What the fuck, bruh? I mean, this is just impressive at this point. I don't know what I do with it. Every single time I lose it. What did I put on last? The mirror? So why isn't it over here? What did I do with it? God damn it. Oh, there you are. Come here. If you haven't caught on by now, I am extremely good at misplacing my tools. Probably one of the best. I really don't know how I do it. I swear they just vanish. Infinite spinning. My phone and my microphone are about to die, but we still have a fair amount of work to do. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do this side off camera while everything charges, and then we'll do the other side on camera so you can see the process, and we'll get this thing finished for tonight at least. All right, scratch everything I just said. It's 11:30. I didn't realize it was quite that late, and there's really no need to be rushing this to get this done any sooner than sometime else this week. So we're just gonna have to come back. That's how she's looking right now. Not too bad, but definitely pretty incomplete. So we'll get back at this tomorrow. Kind of disappointing for me, but really doesn't make a difference at all for you watching, because it'll be here like, I believe this is now 2 or 3 days later, after work one day, and at this point I already have the stripes done on the other side, but again, this whole process is very repetitive, so I figure there's no need for me to show you both sides, because I literally just do the same thing. And this video was already way longer than I thought it was going to be. I don't need to make it any longer. Why would you want to leave this place? He left. Yes. You said I didn't want to see you anymore. Oh, it was dirt. I thought I had scuffed it. How do I want to do this? I don't know. Similarly to how I did the stripe before when I was putting the A-pillar back on, I'm going to use masking tape here to continue the straight line from the door onto the rocker panel and keep these stripes consistent. I really just end up making most of this shit up as I go. I didn't watch any video or learn from anybody else how to do this. I just kind of did what seems to make the most sense to me. So not only am I using the tape to kind of continue the straight lines, but you'll see later I also use the tape as a spacer to keep the rest of the stripes a consistent width apart from one another so that they stay parallel. Now, again, this design that I'm doing is heavily inspired from the design I saw on that Liberty Walk Z, but I didn't go out of my way to measure the distance or the thickness of the stripes. I kind of just messed around with it in Forza until it felt right. The way I am ensuring that it looks the way it does in Forza, though, is actually pretty cool, and again, is something that I just kind of made up along the way. What I did is I actually took a measurement in real life of my B-pillar there at the back of the rear door, and I then went in Forza and took the same measurement so that I could convert Forza's units into real life measurements. What I found is that 1 inch in real life is equal to approximately 0.04 units in Forza's design editor. And now that I had that conversion, everything else was very straightforward. All I had to do was measure the width of the stripes and the spacing between all of the stripes in Forza's editor, convert them to inches, and just like that, I had a 1-to-1 recreation of the design that I made in Forza. I have actually considered continuing these stripes over the rear quarter glass here, but these little windows are actually very helpful in this car. There is quite a big blind spot back there, and I don't want to make it any harder to see out of this thing than it already is. Once you've seen me install one of these stripes, you've kind of seen me install all of them. So in the interest of saving time, we're going to skip to the end here where I put on the final stripe so we can get on to wrapping the final piece, the front bumper. Now I will be wrapping the bulk of this on the car, but there are a few areas that we have to do beforehand that are just easier with it off the car. We got to do a little piece up inside here, up where the badge goes, and a couple spots on the sides. So we're going to do that first. Now, the reason these pieces need to be done separately is because the film can only stretch so much. These little parts are called inlays, and they are very important when vinyl wrapping complex shapes, such as bumpers, to ensure that the vinyl wrap not only looks good, but stays looking good. And when done properly, you will never even know that these parts are separate because they are seamed on body lines to help hide the overlap between the two different parts. Cutting directly on the paint like this is not typically very advisable. When vinyl wrapping, this is never something that I would do on a customer's car, but for my own vehicle, especially considering this bumper is in terrible shape, I'm really not too concerned with scratching the paint if I happen to cut a little bit too deep. Once again, in the interest of saving time, I've done the other reflector inlet there off camera, and I'll also have done the grille surround off camera as well. Again, it's nothing that you really haven't already seen, it's just more of the same. Plus, we have some fun shenanigans with the bumper that I want to get into. Well, I need you to help me stretch it. You hold the roll here, hold the bottom because it'll slide down. Follow me, Chud. Oh, I should have wiped the tires. Didn't want none of that dust getting behind there. It'd be a bad day.
This is why you prep properly.
I did.
Is that why we're prepping while the vinyl's open?
Fuck you. Okay, try again. All right, all right, all right.
Interesting choice of noises.
It's the fucking pufferfish eating a carrot. You know the video.
I think I just got a mini.
It's all right.
You're telling me all right after I just got a paper cut. Fuck yeah.
Didn't know what we were talking about.
You're all right, mate.
It'll be fine.
Get up.
It'll be fine. Brush it off.
Aye. Perfect.
Done.
And that is how
That's how you do it. Okay, so just make sure the middle don't touch the ground. We're gonna need to come back and do this again, but just get her a little bit closer. Your hands better be clean.
You know that now.
Shit.
Boy, I ain't touching near where you're bound.
Gravity. It's a thing called gravity. Shit, how the fuck do we do this properly? We're gonna peel her back to about there. And I'm gonna heat the ever living shit out of her. Yank her that way, you're gonna yank her this way. It's gonna be beautiful. Yep. Right about there, yep. You're gonna need to hold this out. Probably should have trimmed it, to be honest, but it's alright, probably. Alright, so I'm gonna yank her that way. You're gonna, you know the drill. Yer. Move towards me. Yep, again. Yep, again. Yep. One more time. Yep. One more time.
Alright, but this is the last fucking time, man.
Okay.
Oh,
That's fine, it's fine. We can get it later. Let me fix this. Don't touch it. Your grubby hands. Alright, let's do it again.
one more big tug, eh?
What the fuck are you doing? You see what you just did? Nope, keep going. That's right. Don't do it again. Leave it right there. Title of this segment will be How to Not Wrap a Bumper. Okay, get over there. And we're moving. Yep. Move it to it. God, it looks like someone just sneezed sand under it. It's a good thing the bumper's in terrible condition. Okay. Right. Shut up! That's another good thing keeping me off a bike, is I would actually just die from the heat. Unless I just didn't wear gear, in which case I'd die from the road. So I'd just die.
Yeah, it's a lose-lose.
Yes, it is.
Or perhaps a win-win.
Ah, you're right.
Are you a contaminant? I don't know what the hell you are. Why do you look like that? What?
That just doesn't make any sense. Whatever.
Whatever.
Good luck out there, soldier. I know you do. As we are coming to the end here, I wanted to again reflect on how this project has taken so much longer than I originally anticipated. The wrap that I thought was going to be done in one day ended up taking over a week, and the process of editing this whole video together has taken me more than 3 weeks with 40 plus hours of editing time. All right. That's the bulk of it done. We're now going to put it on the stands and finish off the rest of it. I really thought I would have this whole thing done, video included, in maybe a few days, but sometimes that's just not the reality of it, especially when you're doing something that you've never done before. Now, obviously, I've been wrapping cars for years now. That's not new to me, but making YouTube videos is very new to me. And so the fact that this video has taken me over 40 hours to edit and put together is kind of embarrassing, to be fair, but I have learned so much during the process of making this video that I know the next one will be so much better and so much quicker. I've really been beating myself up over how long this whole thing has taken me, but I think it's important that we give ourselves some grace sometimes and just be okay with being bad at something. After all, I think life would be pretty boring if we only ever did things that we were good at. All right. Okay. And it's pink. You've now watched the entire process of me finally bringing that vision I had in Forza into reality, and it looks kind of crazy. It does look good on camera, but as always, it doesn't quite do it justice because in person, this color makes the old color literally look gray. Not to mention the metallic in this gives it so much more depth than the flat gloss that the Fuchsia had from before. Everybody else seems to love it too. I get compliments on this thing just about every single day. And while of course that was never the point of this whole project, it's always a nice bonus seeing that my car makes other people smile. This car is far from finished though. The entire interior still needs to be done, and that Rocket Money kit I had on it in Forza is all part of the plan too. Not to mention a couple of turbos, because when I rebuilt this thing, I couldn't just use stock parts now, could I? We've got forged rods, forged pistons, and a bunch of other goodies in there that will allow this thing to hold some serious power. Most of that will have to wait though, because not only is it all extremely expensive, but it would mean I would have to take this car off the road for what would likely amount to another few months, and I want to be able to drive and enjoy this car as much as I can for the rest of the season. But I've got another very big and very ambitious project that I'm very excited about, which I will be starting on in just a few weeks here. So we're gonna let this car sit for now, and we're gonna pivot over to that. I'm going to be tackling every single aspect of this project by myself, most of which I have no idea how to do, but for me, that's kind of the fun of it, and hopefully it will make for some good content. I will say, this project is going to piss a lot of people off, particularly the purists out there, but to be honest, that's alright with me. So if you want to see what that's all about, hit the subscribe button and stick around for that video, which should be out in a couple of weeks. And if you liked this video, I would be extremely grateful if you'd hit the like button and maybe leave a comment. After all, every little bit helps for us small creators. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.